Okay, let's dive right into this. If you drive a car or, ride a motorcycle, you've probably noticed this massive wave of panic sweeping across the internet recently about E20 fuel. I mean, people are furious. They're worried. They're asking, is it safe? Or is this some kind of massive scam to force us into buying new cars? Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're launching a full, totally objective engineering investigation to separate all that viral noise from the actual hard science. If you spent any time at all on social media, you've definitely seen these alarming claims. Millions of us are seeing these exact warnings pop up on our feeds literally every single day. People are shouting that their fuel economy is absolutely tanked overnight, their engines are suddenly sputtering and running super rough, and their beloved older cars are basically drinking poison straight from the pump. And hey, these concerns are completely valid, right? Especially with how expensive fuel is right now. That's exactly why we need to take a step back, look at the actual data, and figure out what is really going on beneath the hood. So, here's the ultimate question we're tackling today. Is ethanol fuel secretly destroying your engine from the inside out? To figure this out, we're not going to just rely on angry social media comments or, random dealership rumors. Instead, we're looking at this through a totally neutral, objective engineering lens. We're going to examine what actually happens inside your combustion chamber at high temperatures and crazy high pressures to separate those viral internet myths from real combustion science.
Let's start with Section 1, the suspect. What exactly is E20?
When you pull up to the pump and you see that E20 label, you're pumping a chemical blend. 80% of that liquid is your standard traditional petrol, the stuff derived from crude oil pumped out of the earth and refined. But the other 20%, that's ethanol. Now, ethanol is a very different beast. It's a renewable alcohol made from fermented plant materials. We're usually talking about agricultural crops here, like sugarcane, corn, or various grains. So essentially, you're taking a refined agricultural product and putting it right into your gas tank, displacing a fifth of the fossil fuels you'd normally burn. Pretty wild, right? Now, what's really interesting here is the chemical contrast between these two liquids. It's striking. Pure petrol contains zero oxygen in its molecular structure. None. But ethanol, it's highly oxygenated. And that extra oxygen is absolutely crucial because it allows the fuel mixture to burn much cleaner, producing fewer of those harmful tailpipe emissions. Even better, ethanol packs a significantly higher octane rating. From an engineering standpoint, this is a massive win. A high octane rating acts as a sort of thermal buffer that stops modern high-compression engines from knocking or prematurely detonating under a heavy load. So ethanol isn't just some cheap filler. It fundamentally alters and, in some pretty cool ways, actually enhances the chemical behavior of the fuel.
Moving on to Section 2, the crime scene, the truth about missing mileage.
This brings us to, by far, the most common complaint we hear from everyday drivers, the missing mileage. To understand where your fuel efficiency went, we've got to look at ethanol's combustion physics. The real culprit here? Energy density. It's that simple. Ethanol just contains less usable, explosive energy per liter than pure petrol. Think of it like this. Pure petrol is like a highly calorie-dense protein bar, and ethanol is kind of like a slightly lighter rice cake. So when your mileage drops, your engine isn't broken, and the fuel isn't defective. It's literally just the strict laws of physics at play. It simply requires a larger physical volume of ethanol to produce the exact same mechanical energy to push your car down the road. You naturally just have to step on the pedal a little bit more. So the crucial point is, how much mileage are you actually losing? Viral videos love to scream about these massive drops, right? Sometimes claiming a 20 to 30% loss in efficiency. No way. The official engineering data from the Ministry of Petroleum and major automotive labs shows a much, much smaller reduction. We're talking around 3 to 5%, depending on your engine's specific tune and your driving conditions. Honestly, if you're suddenly seeing a massive 30% drop in your miles per gallon, it's highly likely it has a lot more to do with a heavy right foot, stop-and-go traffic, or even just low tire pressure rather than the 20% ethanol in your tank. All right, Section 3, forensic evidence. Will it destroy your engine? Okay, so we've solved the mileage mystery, but what about those really terrifying rumors? The permanent engine damage, melted internals, thousands of dollars in mechanical repairs? Well, if you corner an automotive engineer and ask if E20 causes damage, they're going to give you a one-word answer. Compatibility. That's the whole shebang. Extensive long-term testing by both auto manufacturers and independent fuel agencies reveal a very clear truth. There is absolutely zero evidence of widespread engine damage when E20 is used in modern vehicles, explicitly engineered to handle it from day one. And this brilliantly illustrates why. Modern E20 compatible vehicles literally leave the factory floor with upgraded heavy-duty fuel system materials. We're talking specialized hoses, unique chemical-resistant seals, and robust fuel injectors built specifically to withstand higher concentrations of alcohol. Older vehicles, on the other hand, well, they were engineered strictly for pure petrol or very low ethanol blends like E5. Over long periods of time, high levels of ethanol can chemically attack older rubber and plastic fuel lines. It slowly leaches out the natural oils in the rubber, drying it out and making it super brittle. This is where the real vulnerability lies. And yeah, it's a classic car owner's worst nightmare. A brittle, cracked fuel line secretly leaking gas right onto a hot engine block or the driveway. Let's move to Section 4, the plot twist, the science of moisture. Now, ethanol possesses a fascinating, but honestly sometimes problematic, chemical trait. It's what we call hygroscopic. Basically, this means it naturally attracts and absorbs water straight out of the surrounding air. It acts exactly like a dry sponge left sitting in a highly humid bathroom. Pure petrol doesn't do this. Water and oil naturally repel each other, right? But if an ethanol blend sits unused in your gas tank for months at a time, it pulls moisture right in. And if it pulls in enough water, it can actually cause this phenomenon called phase separation. This is where a watery alcohol mixture literally sinks to the bottom of the tank, which is exactly where your fuel pump sits. Sucking that water into your engine creates a very real risk of internal corrosion and nasty misfires. But hey, there is excellent news for daily commuters and road trippers. Regular driving essentially prevents this moisture buildup entirely. If you use your car consistently and cycle through fresh tanks of gas, the fuel just never sits long enough to absorb problematic amounts of water from the atmosphere. So this hygroscopic sponge effect, it's truly only a strict maintenance concern for classic cars, weekend toys, motorcycles, or any vehicle pushed into long-term winter storage with a half-empty tank of E20. Which brings us to Section 5, the motive. Why exactly is the government pushing E20? So think about it. If ethanol has slightly less energy, causing a 3 to 5% drop in mileage, and requires upgraded engine seals, why on earth are governments around the world aggressively accelerating the adoption of E20? Well, when we look at macro-level policy objectives, we see this massive balancing act. Policymakers are weighing significant national benefits against a slight consumer friction. By blending 20% plant-based ethanol, a country instantly slashes its reliance on imported crude oil. That massively boosts national energy security and independence. Furthermore, it redirects billions of dollars away from foreign oil conglomerates and puts it right into domestic agriculture, supporting local farmers. Couple that with lower toxic tailpipe emissions in crowded cities, and you begin to really understand the powerful geopolitical and environmental motives behind this whole global rollout. And finally, Section 6, the final verdict, myths versus facts. Let's lay the myths and the engineering realities side by side to settle this once and for all. The viral internet myth screams that E20 destroys absolutely every engine it touches. The engineering reality? It's perfectly, demonstrably safe for compatible cars. The myth claims a massive wallet-draining 30% mileage loss. Basic physics dictates a mere 3 to 5% drop. And while the internet claims older, non-compatible cars will instantly fail and explode, the reality is, they don't instantly die. They simply require much closer attention, preventative maintenance, and perhaps some upgraded fuel lines, not an immediate tow truck. So yes, there are absolutely real trade-offs to E20, but those extreme doomsday claims, they're just false. So we've looked at the combustion engineering, the organic chemistry, and the macroeconomic policy. But the ultimate test always happens out there on the asphalt. Does the benefit of national energy security and cleaner air outweigh a 3 to 5% tax on your individual engine's efficiency? I want to know, what's your real-world experience with E20 fuel? Have you tracked your mileage carefully, or maybe noticed a difference in how your car runs? Share your exact vehicle models and your actual mileage data down in the comments so we can keep this scientific investigation going. Keep questioning the consensus, always trust the data, and I'll see you in the next explainer.